Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, and I'm back to bring you my final episode review from the Loud House Summer Camp arc. So let's get right into it. Our last summer camp episode is Brawl of the Wild. In this episode, Camp Counselor Leni gets into a heated confrontation with another camp counselor named River, and when these two are put in charge of a nature hike, they need to put aside their differences and work together when they accidentally get lost on their way back to camp. I might as well address the most obvious status quo change first and foremost. As of Season 10, Leni and Gavin have officially broken up. They ended their relationship off screen. Kinda stupid to do it that way if you ask me. And Leni explains how she didn't see that sparkle in her now ex-boyfriend. In fairness, this episode came out before most of Season 9 aired on television, so maybe Leni and Gavin did have an on-screen breakup at some point and the viewing audience just hasn't seen it yet. But at the time of this video being released, I'm just going to assume their relationship ended off-screen. It would be kinda lame to end things like that, but hey, what can you do? Anyway, to be totally honest, I fully agree with Leni's rationale on wanting to end her relationship with Gavin. Looking back on the episode Food Courting, I started to think the feelings Leni and Gavin had for each other were mostly surface level and rooted more in their looks rather than their personalities. Plus, it was kinda obvious by Season 7 that these two didn't really have anything in common. We only ever saw them going out on random dates, and we never got the chance to explore their relationship in greater detail. We had a small snippet of development in the episode Force of Habits, but even that didn't feel like enough. Maybe things would have changed if they had more screen time together, but we'll never really know for sure. Even though I think Leni's new boyfriend is a lot more interesting by comparison to Gavin, I'm still a little disappointed these two broke up. As generic as he was, Gavin was one of the very few boyfriend/love interests who actually stuck around for more than a single episode. Still not counting Scott from the Netflix movie. So it is kinda sad to see Leni's longest relationship come to such an abrupt end. Still, Leni said both she and Gavin agreed to remain good friends, so I'll give these two a point for being mature in their breakup. Anyway, Leni finds a new love interest in a fellow camp counselor named River. Like I said earlier, I think he's a way more interesting character than Gavin. To quote Leni, his best qualities are that he's brave, resourceful, and thoughtful. Oh yeah, and he has some great hair too. I think I should also mention that River's character design sparked some controversy when the episode first premiered. Visually speaking, River bears a striking resemblance to Kurt Logan, an original character that was created several years prior to Season 10. This character was originally created by Ruishu, a well-known artist in the Loud House fandom. Interestingly, he created a ship between Kurt and Leni, and there is plenty of artwork showcasing their relationship. I have no idea if all of this is just a mere coincidence, or if Nickelodeon blatantly ripped off someone else's original character/fan-inspired relationship. You can draw whatever conclusions you like, and I'll simply leave it at that. Anyway, compared to how Food Courting went about bringing Leni and Gavin together, the way Brawl of the Wild brought Leni and River together felt more natural and realistic. These two started out hating each other when they first met in the mess hall. They were taking digs at each other's respective fashion choices, and all their fighting led to River dropping some food on Leni's sandals. When they were paired up to take some campers on a hike, they continued trading insults, but the negative feelings they had for each other were slowly beginning to fade. River stopped Leni from picking poisonous berries, and Leni made River's boring way of birdwatching a lot more fun for the campers. Despite taking subtle jabs at each other in the short term, they were actually helping each other in the long term. Soon enough, these two were seen smiling and laughing together, and it's at that point you knew they were starting to like each other. However, they had a little setback when Leni cleaned up River's yellow marker flags, thus leading to everyone getting lost when making their way back to the campground. Still, these two put aside their animosity to make sure the campers were kept calm and safe. For example, River nearly scared the kids when he mentioned wild animals, and Leni stepped in to clarify his statement, explaining that the wild animals River was talking about were actually wildly cute. Later, when the kids slipped on the ground and nearly fell off the side of a cliff, Leni used her quick reflexes to catch them, although she ended up dangling over the cliff as well. That's when River stepped in to pull both Leni and the kids back to safety. Because he was wearing his toe shoes, he was able to keep himself from slipping. Leni thought River was a monster for wearing such hideous footwear, and yet the gripping power of those shoes ended up saving her life. By the end of their journey, these two teenagers no longer hated each other, and Leni saw River surrounded by a bunch of sparkles. She mentioned earlier that she literally sees sparkles when she likes someone, but Leni couldn't bring herself to tell River how she really felt about him. She was initially worried he wouldn't feel the same way, and that they might not even see each other again once camp was over. She does muster up the courage to tell River that she really likes him, and to her delight, River felt the same way. As a bonus, he said he lives in Hazeltucky and works at the Royal Woods Mall. Apparently, he works in the sporting goods section on the second floor at Reininger's. Somehow, Leni didn't know Reininger's had a second floor. Neither did the audience, for that matter. So that explains why these two never crossed paths, even though they were conveniently working at the same store. I have a hard time believing this explanation because of how contrived it all sounds, but if that's what it takes to make sure these two continue their relationship in future episodes, then so be it. Overall, I thought I was going to hate this episode, but I ended up really enjoying it. I was originally negative about the writers quietly ending Leni's relationship with Gavin and having her fall in love with another boy. I initially thought River was going to be a generic one-and-done love interest for Leni, and for all we know, this very well could be his only appearance in the series. However, the story opened the door to the possibility of him making a comeback in a later episode, and I really hope he does. River is a great character with a great personality. He's more than just a pretty face, and it clearly shows. The story did an excellent job of developing both Leni and River's respective characters. These two went from despising each other to liking each other, and it was achieved when they were put in a situation where teamwork was essential. Leni needed River just as much as River needed Leni. Things would have turned out much worse for the young campers if only one of these counselors was put in charge. Both characters slowly realized that the person they hated wasn't as bad as they once thought. They just needed some time to really get to know each other, and each of them came to appreciate what the other had to offer. Leni didn't understand why River needed to wear a safari vest with so many pockets, but soon learned that even though it's not fashionable, the vest sure was practical for carrying snacks. So as far as I'm concerned, I fully support Leni x River. The formation of their relationship felt natural, and as Leonard said, they made a great team. Now before I finish the review, there's one last thing I want to mention about the summer camp arc that I didn't even notice until I finished watching this episode. Out of every member of the Loud family, Luna and Lily are the only two to have no screen time whatsoever following the first episode. Luna's only on-screen speaking role was during the scene where Leonard appointed her as a camp counselor, and Lily only appears on screen for a total of 4 seconds. I'm not saying their collective absence ruins the arc, but it's a real shame knowing they barely did anything. The least the writers could have done was give them a cameo in the background. I don't think that would have been too difficult. But regardless, this episode starring Leni and her new boyfriend was a fantastic way to bring the summer camp arc to a close. It didn't have a sense of finality like Hide and Sneak, but it certainly had a better ending than Grease is the word. And unlike the final episodes from both the American and European road trip arcs, the summer camp arc did not end on such an underwhelming note. You may agree or disagree, but as usual, that's just what I think. With that said, I give Brawl of the Wild a 9.2 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of Brawl of the Wild. So I gotta ask, what did you guys think of this episode? Sound off in the comments below, and be sure to click that subscribe button for more Loud House related content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.